everyone. Welcome to the Leaderboard, where we talk about what's going on in the world of esports. I'm Meg Turney, and joining me, as always, my co-host, Mr. Jared Wynne of the Daily Dot.
This seems oddly familiar.
It does.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Deja
they have
vu.
no idea
No.
that this is the third time we've done this.
Who's they?
No one.
Okay.
Let's talk about esports. The Face It League final was played in London this weekend. Team SoloMid managed to win their second consecutive big title in 2 weeks, beating Ninjas in Pajamas in the finals. So let's talk about this win, because you tweeted that you have revoked their choke title, their choke resume, I guess.
Yes, I did some tweeting on the Tooper.
Yes.
To say that they were no longer choke artists. They did have a reputation, an aptitude, you might say, for choking in the past, which is not a good aptitude. It's a non-optimal aptitude, you might say. Suboptimal, in fact. I would go even that far to say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So far.
Yes, with Kerrigan coming in, however, as the new leader, I think he's really turned things around for the team. He's introduced a more dynamic play style. They're a little bit more improvising on the fly, less set strategies as they had when Fetish was the leader previously with Dignitas. So I think that's been a big step forward for them. And Kerrigan also brings more dynamic play himself individually. He was one of the best players for TSM this past weekend, and that's a big thing when your in-game leader, who has been tasked with calling the game round and round, is able to step up for you and be one of the dominant forces in a game. That's a big thing for your team. And it's becoming more of a constant now. We've seen Happy do the same thing with Envious, the French team. I think there's an expectation now that if you're going to be the in-game leader, you still have to carry your weight. And in the best cases, the best teams in the world, their leaders might be able to actually take over a game themselves and really have a dynamic impact. I like the word dynamic right now.
Yeah. Really into it.
TSM.
Very dynamic.
A lot of dynamism from TSM.
Dynamism?
Yes,
Yeah.
dynamism.
It's new now.
Yes,
it's
that's
your
good.
word.
I like that word, actually. And for NIP, how about them losing again in the final? They've become the forever runners-up, it would seem. And by forever, like going back to August or so.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Yeah. I was thinking about the brides thing, but I couldn't remember the exact words actually for the saying.
And it's also like bridesmaids aren't runner-up brides. It's not like you almost got to marry somebody.
Kind of funny.
Oh, we'll just go with it. Like if she doesn't show up, all right, well, shit. Let's go to second place.
The groom's the winner, the bride's like the runner-up, I guess. Is that
If
how it
the
works?
bridesmaid is like...
What if they're both brides, though?
Yeah, well,
Then
you can't
maybe-
have two brides.
Maybe you do have a runner-up then, because one bride's like the superior bride, and the other one's like the secondary bride. Is that how it
This
works?
seems like a fist fight waiting to happen.
Some kind of fist event.
Nope. Not touching it. All right, back to esports. While TSM had a great showing, American teams in attendance struggled, as both Elevate and Team Liquid were seen off without winning a single series. This follows a similarly poor showing at the ESEA Global Final. What the hell happened to America?
Yeah, it's just, it's going downhill. It is, in every way.
Call it, guys. We're going home.
Counter-Strike teams losing. Thanks, Obama.
No.
You know? Counter-Strike going downhill. That's the next sign, right?
Oh, right. Is that like one of the seals that you break for the apocalypse or something?
It is, actually. The next sign of the
If
apocalypse.
Americans are no longer dominant in Counter-Strike?
Yeah, it's just, it's a big problem, I think. It's it's dramatic. It's traumatic, too.
Absolutely. It's all sorts of
T's,
matics.
D's.
It's
What are
automatic.
the mags? It's not automatic, really. So the infrastructure in America for Counter-Strike is lacking somewhat. And that's because CGS came along in like 0506, whenever Counter-Strike Source came out, split the community, and CGS failed. And with it went every Counter-Strike scene except for the one in Europe, because there were some rich folks in Europe who wanted to keep Counter-Strike going competitively. So they sustained by themselves the power of their private wealth. They sustained Counter-Strike in Europe. And that's allowed a better infrastructure to be maintained there and then develop much more quickly in global offensive. Now, you did have, just a year ago, an ESEA final where you had an all-American grand final there with iBuyPower and Complexity. Complexity is now Cloud9 with a number of changes, some shifts there in the roster, and they're kind of a shell of what they were a year ago. iBuyPower is mostly banned from
Yeah,
Xbox.
they
So
got the hammer.
You can kind of see how that didn't work out so well from a year ago. No one's really replaced them. I think there's been a lack of professionalism, really, in the American scene. A lot of gossiping, a lot of backdoor shenanigans going on, unfortunate things like that. But now we have the ESEA Pro League with its $1 million that's going to give away to players and teams. And I think this is really the true test. Like, if you can't up your professionalism and start to really build a proper infrastructure that supports some really good top teams sustainably, not just in one or two events, and gives you like consistent performance internationally, if you can't do that for all this money coming in now, then you probably can't do it at all. I mean, this is really the test now. Like, if you have $500,000 being waved in front of your face, and they're saying, okay, can you play nice? Can you stick with one team for a while? And you say, no, can't do it, sorry, we're just going to be immature anyway. That's a bad sign.
I mean, do you think that will really happen? Because money is really like a great unifier here. People want to win money. Don't you think they'd put up with one another to make
I
$500,000?
would hope so, but you might be surprised by the glowing members of the community. Some of them, I think we have some teams who are very much looking to do the right thing. Cloud9 actually is, making great strides. CLG as an organization, they want to do the right thing and kind of build a good, solid professional team and move forward positively. I think every team has good intentions. It's just that they let things fall apart too quickly and too easily. And when they do, it's kind of like, oh, panic, run around, scream, It's got to change. You gotta keep it together. Because you have to have a good, solid foundation to build upon that and then become a great region of play. That goes for every region out there, and not just North America. It's got to become a comprehensive effort in the area.
Okay.
You keep nodding. I hope you're agreeing with everything
I'm saying. I know that I'm not, I don't want to interrupt what you're saying. So
I felt like I was being pressured to keep going because you kept nodding.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with you.
Okay.
I would never pressure you.
You pressure me with your agreement.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll just...
Stop being so agreeable.
Great, thank you for your input. All right, the Midseason Invitational gets underway this weekend, and with 6 of the world's best League of Legends teams, or perhaps 5 of the best plus 1 wildcard, clashing in scenic Tallahassee, Florida. Scenic? Hot as hell? Humid? Something? Florida? I don't know. I don't know if scenic would be the first word I think of with Tallahassee.
Florida State's there.
Oh.
Number 1 party school in the country.
Oh, well, then it is scenic.
Yeah.
Team SoloMid is again in the headlines here as their league team are the reigning IEM world champions, and expectations may have never been higher for a Western team heading into battle with Asia's best. So let's talk about, this is just an epic mashup.
Someone's going to cash in. They'll be cashing in.
There will be.
Not by everybody necessarily.
Right.
So TSM, yeah. I think it's a big test for Bjergsen especially. He's been hyped up so much, and deservedly so, in the mid lane. Now, maybe we'll get to see him against EasyHoon and against Faker. The big names from SKT. It could happen. It should happen. Hopefully it will happen. We're going to see that. We're going to see the clash there. We're going to see how good he is against the best in the world, supposedly. Of course, now you have questions about who really is the best in the world, because we saw Korean teams come out to IEM World Championship and get kind of knocked aside. Didn't even make the final. Just swat away. Get away, Korean teams. We don't want you here in the final. Be gone.
And yeah, so that was a big surprise.
It was. Now the Korean teams had to come back in thinking, hey, maybe we're not so superior. Maybe we can't just walk through the final.
Or do you think maybe it's lit a fire under their ass? You know what? We know we're superior. We kind of got screwed over. We're ready to come back and take people's attention.
I think it's just a reminder that it's not automatic. That you gotta, come pay to play, or play to pay, or play to get paid. I should say. The 3rd or 4th time was the charm there.
Nailed it. We will edit it so you nailed it.
Yeah.
We won't.
Thank you. The mid lane is where I look for TSM's real decisions to come from against the best teams, because Bjergsen really does carry the team at times, and not because he's the only good player on the team. It's just they're based around largely Bjergsen carrying the team from the mid lane. They do have different styles they've been trying to work on in the LCS. They actually worked on different styles during the season, in the middle of the season, to try to prepare for that in live games. And it might have worked, but I think against a team like SKT, you got to go to your bread and butter. You got to do what you do best, and that's, let Bjergsen take you to the next level. And we'll see if we can do that against the great mid laners that teams like SKT have to offer. EDG, of course, also very good. I think they're being under the radar a little bit. When you look at how well the LPL, the Chinese region, has done overall, I think EDG should not be overlooked for a second. I think the sexiest matchup is the TSM SKT, but you also have TSM Fnatic, I think, coming earliest. That's the first matchup for the 2 Western teams, so that's going to be a big thing. If Fnatic can upset TSM right off the bat, that changes the entire dynamic of the tournament going into it. Plus, you have to look at the Taiwanese team, AHQ. Flash Wolves play very well at IEM, unexpectedly, I think, to some. Maybe not to all. So AHQ, watch out for them.
Alrighty, we will. And finally, Valve has once again unleashed the Compendium, the crowdfunding tool that offers virtual goods for Dota 2 players and fans while contributing to the prize pool at the International. Now, last year's event featured a total prize of almost $11 million, and this year Valve has actually set the initial target goal at $15 million. They want it all. Is that attainable in any way, shape, or form?
It's attainable in some way, shape, or form. They could hold up a bank for it. It is potentially attainable.
That's a lot of money.
It is. I mean, they barely scraped together $11 million last year. Well, in fact, it was just shy of $11 million, as you said. So saying $15 million this year, it's okay, that's more than $4 million better than what we did last year. Is that really possible? I think a lot of the money has to come from the Asian market. I think people underestimate how much of that $11 million or so came from China specifically, and from areas around there. So is there still enough interest in that region to help kind of drive the prize purse to that next level? I don't know. It could be. It's an interesting question. I think we're going to find out. There's certainly going to be a big surge to begin with. and we have a lot of time before the international. You know, we can build up to that for a while. So we'll see. Are you going to do your part, Meg? Are you going to buy a Compendium?
Of course, absolutely. Actually, last year I loved because they had the noob stream, so I could follow everything. Now I feel like I need to contribute.
I think it was less publicized, in fact, than it should have been. It was quite good.
It was really, really helpful.
Very informative with Purge on there. You did a good job, especially. So yeah, I think it's a possibility. I don't know if it should be expected to raise $15 million. I think it's also worth considering if you put the target goal as $15 million to start with, and you come up short of that. You know, 8, 9, 10 million is still very impressive.
Right, but you're kind of selling yourself short already by making it like we fell short.
Barely got more than halfway there. Well, how should he? We still raised $10 million or $8 million, $9 million, whatever the case may be.
Why not set it at $10 million and they'd be like, we smashed it with $15 million?
I guess they just have high goals. They want to clear that high bar. So it's going to be interesting to see how it comes together and where the money comes from. Of course, Valve, unlikely to say where exactly it all comes from, but we can listen to the noisy floors as they creak and tell us where the money. That's how it works.
Is that?
Noisy floors creak. That's how journalists get their information.
Right.
You just hear creaking all the time. You translate it like.
Well, the Daily Dot's really good at that because I feel like every time something breaks, it's like the Daily Dot got text messages from somebody who left this in a bathroom stall and we found a USB stick, and then the Daily Dot has it.
The secret's out. It's actually floor creaking. Secret's out. Yes, I've spoiled the entire methodology behind all these crazy scoops. So. This could happen. We'll see. Is it a good thing, actually, that Valve wants $15 million from the community? They have money to spare. Valve's, I think, as I last heard, pretty rich.
Yeah.
They have some money.
They're doing pretty well.
Well, we see Microsoft now. They're doing crowdfunding. They scooped up $100,000 from sales in the Killer Instinct game to help support the prize pools in Killer Instinct tournaments going forward. Does Microsoft need $100K from the community?
No, but why not get it if somebody's willing to give it over?
Well, hey, there you go. Is it a sustainable model, though, for esports and for competitive gaming in general to have that money coming from the community? It could be. It might not be. It's been raised like the question of what happens if the community just decides, we're not going to pay that money this year.
Right.
Suddenly you bottom out the infrastructure of the scene you've built in that case. If you're all dependent on community funding and you don't get the community funding you're dependent on, then you're kind of shut out of luck, aren't you? So. It's an interesting question. Another interesting question. We've had a variety of interesting questions here in this conversation.
But I think that's an interesting question for you guys. Do you think that the crowdfunding for tournament prize pools should happen? Do you think that the fans should have to pay for that? Or do you think that the companies that make the game should have to pay for that? Let us know down there. And then that's it. We'll see you next time on the Leaderboard. GG, everyone.